Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, I'm telling you, get your house in order for quite a while, folks. Raining a little bit here this morning. Probably going to be like this all day long. But yeah, some big things happened last night. You know, about 24 hours prior to that, I'd said that an Israeli attack on Iran was imminent. I had a few people say that I was crazy and wrong. But yeah, it did happen. And there's more to talk about with that. Yeah, it's a lot. Anyways, I wanted to cover a couple of things before we get into that. I know that's what everyone's wanting to talk about right now. It's what all the news, the rage is all about this, Israeli-Iranian war that's happening. But yesterday, interesting enough, it kind of shocked some of the MAGA people, and they're a little bit upset. Actually, there's been several things in the last 24 hours that Trump supporters have kind of not been too happy about. Number one, yesterday, the president talked about amnesty for a lot of illegals. He was saying that, we're not going to kick out all these people that are farmers working on farms and working in restaurants and working in hotels and service industry and stuff, that it would just cripple those industries, that they wouldn't have a way to function, that these people have worked for, farms for 10, 20 years, and we're not going to kick them out, that there would most likely become a path for amnesty. A lot of people didn't like that. I don't like that. I mean, I don't know. We'd need a whole lot more details before I think a lot of people would be supporting that. He also said that he thought it was a great idea to have Chinese students come into the United States. He's talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of 500,000. He says he's always supported having students from China come to America, and he would be okay with, after they, go to college and get their degree, of staying here in America. And I'm sure reporting back everything they know and see to China. So that was interesting. Also, and I'll get to this more in just a second here. Apparently, yes, we are involved in this. I mean, maybe we weren't involved in the initial stages. Maybe not. We'll talk about that. But the president came out early this morning or late last night, however you look at it, that we will defend Israel. That we will be part of that. So, as you all know, unless you've been, very heavily sleeping for the last 14 hours or so, Israel did, in fact, launch an attack on Iran. And this is quite impressively strategic. There's a lot that I'm not going to get into because it's just kind of the details. But, apparently they had a lot of agents inside Iran. They obviously had people inside Iran bringing coordinates or painting targets because the precision was quite impressive. At least that's what's being reported. They had secret drone facilities inside of Iran building drones. Apparently, that's what we're being told. This morning, they're saying somewhere in the neighborhood of 78 people died. Most of those are military officials. Top brass in Iranian military and air force, and scientists also. It does look like that they attacked a couple of Iran's nuclear facilities. Iran is saying that there was no real serious damage. There's no indication of any kind of radiation leak. You have to understand these facilities are being reported to be upwards of a half a mile underground. And if that is true, I'm not aware of any bunker busting bomb that can make it that deep. So maybe those things are still intact. Now, Israel has said that this operation will last at least 2 weeks or until it is complete. And everybody's kind of waiting for Iran because Iran has stated that they will retaliate very harshly. It's reported that about 100 attack drones flew into Israel. Israel claims that they shot all of them down, but that certainly isn't the attack. I think personally that it will happen after dark, which, dark sets in over there here in probably about 4 hours. So sometime after that, that will also be the start of Israel's Shabbat. So it's very likely that we'll see that. Iranian media is reporting that Iran will launch about 5,000 ballistic missiles on its first launch. I think that's well within the possibility. If you remember back when Iran and Israel kind of did a little tuffle for a couple of days, when Iran did strike back, it took them a bit. It wasn't immediate, but when they did, it was quite impressive. It was more than I thought that they would do. A few hundred ballistic missiles. And it did kind of overwhelm Israel's defense systems. And already the Pentagon and U.S. intelligence officials are worried that this retaliation attack will overwhelm Israel's defense systems. And in fact, there's been reports in the last several hours of United States military assets, planes and stuff being moved out of places in the Middle East over to Israel. Like I said, the president came out saying that we will absolutely support and defend Israel. More elected officials than I can count online have come out saying that we will absolutely support. The secretary of the House Speaker, multiple congressmen and multiple senators, they're all coming out saying that we will support Israel. So that I knew that would happen. I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is going to be different." I said that when push comes to shove, we will support Israel. Even as early as this morning, the president of the United States, Trump, was saying that Iran still had a chance to come back to the table, that this could all stop, they could come back to the table and continue negotiations. And Iran sent word that they will not be attending, that they are pulling out of any negotiations with the United States. And they are blaming the United States. They're saying that the United States was involved in this. And that may be something that has a lot of people, unsure of. The Mark Rubio, the Secretary of State, came out very, very rapidly last night with a statement saying that the United States was not involved in this at all. We had no prior knowledge, all of this kind of stuff, that this was completely independent of Israel, and that the United States should not be retaliated on by Iran. But then it didn't take very long afterwards to find at least some confusing and conflicting information. Israeli news, several sources in Israel, their news is claiming that the United States did know and that they were involved in some form or fashion. Maybe not in pulling the trigger, but in intelligence and guidance and things like that. There are unconfirmed reports that there were some Israeli missiles launched from United States-controlled areas in Iraq. It's unconfirmed. That could be not true. Remember, in the fog of war, like I've always told you, those first few days, there's a lot of misinformation. Iran is saying that they know for a fact that the United States was involved in this. And then Israeli news also is reporting that that Israel did let the United States know, that they did, moments before this happened, sent word to the United States that they were launching this attack. So who knows? I mean, I don't know at this point that it even matters so much, because the president has come out and said that we will support and defend the United States assets and Israel. So, who knows, and does it matter? I think that this will go on for a while and be a lot bigger than what a lot of people think. And I could be completely wrong on what I'm about to say. I understand that, and I've given it a lot of thought last night and this morning. But my gut tells me that while Israel's attack on Iran was pretty impressive, very strategic, that maybe it did not do as much damage as what the media is reporting. I'm sure it did a lot of damage. I'm saying that, did it do enough damage to Iran's military capabilities? Because everything that we're hearing is that They took out some scientists, they took out some military brass, and they attacked some nuclear sites. And some of the reports is that the only damage at the nuclear sites were surface area, that the real heart of the process was deep down underneath, and that those have not apparently been damaged. And as far as taking out scientists and military officials, Iran has to have backup plans, okay? They can't, I mean, they got to know that they've known for a while this was going to happen. And as much as you know, and I too dislike Iran, I mean, I don't know. Do we really? Yeah, whatever. I mean, I know they say death to America all the time, but they're not dumb. They're not some third world Middle Eastern country. They're Persian for one thing, and they, as a nation, have like the third or fourth highest IQ of all the nations. So they're very intelligent people, and they're fairly well developed in technology. So I have to believe that they probably still have pretty decent capabilities. I mean, unless they're just really dumb and they truly weren't expecting all of this, which they should have been. I think that they probably are waiting. Iran seems to be patient, kind of like Russia is. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But I think that it's going to be a pretty big drawn-out thing. Now, other things, that oil shot up like 10, 11, 12% overnight. Stock market took a big nosedive in pre-market trading. Gold is back up into record territory. There are estimates that just based on the oil prices alone, that inflation will probably shoot up a good 2% or more here in the United States. And then, of course, I think the question is with all of us is, how is this event going to affect the protests that are planned here in the United States? Those seem to be catching some steam. I mean, even Bernie Sanders, who I know all of you love that man. I mean, he's just a fan favorite, right? But he's come out calling for increased protest for everyone together. So there's that woman, she's the CEO or whatever, the heiress of the Walmart family. There's a lot of some fairly big names coming out supporting this. And there are reports of these protests and actions and stuff all over the country. So how will that be affected because of these actions? And then, of course, Russia and China and what they're doing. This could be the start. I'm not saying that World War III has started, but it most definitely could eventually begin because of all these actions. I think it will very much disrupt everything. Here's the thing. For all of the people that said, oh, nothing's going to happen, nothing will happen. What is happening right now has been building since at least 1979, folks. So we're talking like several decades of these tensions, of this threat that Iran's going to take out Israel and Israel's going to take out Iran, right? So this isn't something that's, oh, this happens all the time, oh, this is normal, right? This isn't normal. And what Israel is doing, I mean, they've already launched, at least the last I saw, at least 5 waves of attack that are very strategic and hitting very important targets. That thing that they did like a year or so ago wasn't much at all. And yes, they have assassinated some people here and there. But this is very widespread. This is big. This is a very big blow. And I think, if I try to put myself in Iran's position, I'm playing maybe a little devil's advocate here. Iran has to know that the bluff has been called. They've been doing this death to America, death to Israel. We can blow you off the face of the earth for decades now. And they either have to put their cards down and do it, or fold, and they're done. There will be a revolution. There will be a new government. They have to know that. The president, the supreme leader, all of them, they cannot be that stupid to think that they can just talk their way out of this one again. They either have to go all in or they walk away and fold, and they're out. And in places like that, they don't just lose an election and be the former president. They get hung. So for the leadership in Iran right now, they have to feel painted into a corner. And how they will react to that, we'll see. I mean, could they potentially launch a nuke? A lot of people think they already have one. Israel says that they have the capability of putting together at least 15 right now. I mean, that's Israel, so you may not believe that, but... So, I'm not to this, oh, the end is near, the apocalypse. But it is serious. There's definitely some serious biblical implications here. There has been talk, again, unconfirmed, but from some fairly reliable sources, that the FBI has activated task force because they do believe that sleeper cells and stuff are going to be activated. Now, I know we've heard that thousands of times, and some of you are going to roll your eyes, but it does make sense if Iran is feeling that deeply threatened. And we'll have to see. Israel says it's going to last a few weeks. If over the next few days we see the same level of intensity of attacks on Iran, then Iran may. If it starts off big like we saw last night, and then for the next few days it's just little bitty things, maybe they won't feel as threatened. We'll have to see. But I'm telling you, between this, the protests, Russia, it's going to cause some serious disruptions. And it has all the ingredients of being something really big. So we'll have to wait and see. I do post fairly often as I can, updates on what's going to happen with all this. Whenever there's any kind of big deal over on my locals channel for members over there, I post videos, news updates. Last night I was posting quite a few things. So if you want to know that kind of stuff, see that kind of stuff, along with the content that we put out, my wife has been kind of starting to join in again over there. She's starting to feel a lot better, and produce content over there. Join up over on locals. There's a link down below. It's only $3 a month. Try it for a month. If it's not worth it, then cancel. But yeah, I think this has some serious potential, and with all the things going on, it's going to be very disruptive. And then we've got, the president, of course. Palantir's still going to be big. He's talking about flying cars this week, and now him and Elon Musk are back being buddies again. Did you hear that? Yep, they're back to being buddies again. They've all, apparently there's been an apologies, and Musk came out publicly saying he regrets what he said. Now they're back to being friends, and we're going to be letting 500,000 or more Chinese students to commit espionage in the country, and we're going to give amnesty to millions of illegals. If that's true, then what's the point of having all of these ridiculous roundups, that got the protests and stuff started? Think about that. We're all part of a big elaborate scheme. It's not just that I'm saying that Trump is that. It's just all of them. They're all on the same team, folks. They're all pushing the same kind of stuff. Slightly different, but it's them against us. Get your houses in order. Better be preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually, because it's heating up. Thank you all for watching. Catch you in the next video.